Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chai Together. I am your founder and your host, Prativa Day. Today, we have with us Sid Owsley. Sid Owsley is the owner of KUDUJUCE Digital Marketing Agency, a podcast personality, a motivational speaker, and an author. He has a book on Kindle entitled The Seven, The Birds Are Watching. Sid Owsley is a former deputy sheriff and a former U.S. Marine. He's here with us today to share his experience working with prisoners with mental health issues and experiences with mental health issues regarding his relatives as well. Welcome, Sid.
Great to be here. Great to have chai together with you today, Prativa.
Awesome. Did you bring any chai?
Next time.
All right, that's fair enough. How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. Feeling great. I just came from the
Awesome.
gym, so I'm energized.
All right. So let's dig in. Let's start off speaking regarding to your experience working in the jail. What was that like for you?
That was, I started doing that when I was 22 years old. Probably about a year or so after I got out of the Marines, year and a half after I got out of the Marines, I started that job as a deputy sheriff in Arlington, Virginia, working at the county jail. And I spent a lot of time in the medical ward as well as the mental health ward of the jail. So I got to see people going through trials and tribulations on a daily basis that a lot of people don't get to see in the public. I saw people who were drug addicts, various drugs like, heroin, alcohol, crack, things like that. People who obviously had mental issues. It was a interesting and stressful time and occupation to have. I think I spent a total of maybe 4 years doing that, and it really let me see some things that I never thought I would see in life. I saw young teenagers who are charged with crimes and adults. And matter of fact, I think at least 3 of them were charged with murder. And one kid, I think he may have been 18, technically an adult, but he was still a kid. He murdered his mother.
Wow.
And he actually did that using a hammer.
Wow.
And he was, even though they didn't have him in the mental health ward, I really don't understand why, because it was obvious that he had mental issues, and which really isn't that uncommon. There are a lot of people who are locked up that have mental issues, whether they're in the mental health ward or not. Most of them have some type of mental issues, and so it's just a matter of treating it.
Yeah, I definitely feel the injustice is there. And so what would you say was your worst experience, like the worst day you had that you encountered something that was just really boiled your blood?
I'm not sure if it was one single thing. It was a combination of things that I saw. That particular individual I just mentioned that murdered his mother with a hammer. He was in, I worked in what was the dorm system where you didn't have bars. At least, when I first started working at the jail, we were in the old jail, which had bars, and that place had been built in 1969, and
Yeah.
it was only built to hold 180 people, and it held over 400. And then we went to a newer jail that had the dorm system, and so in that dorm, it was this kid who was 18 and another kid. This was an adult dorm, but this kid had been charged as an adult, and there was another kid that was 17. He had killed his parents with a hunting rifle because he was mad at them. They didn't give him some money to go on a trip or something like that. He actually slept. Yeah, he slept with the rifle that night. He was going to do it, and then he decided to sleep on it, and he woke up the next morning and killed both of them.
Are these minorities?
No. Both these kids were white that did this. There was another kid from Philadelphia. he killed his, I believe it was his uncle. And this incident was when I was actually working in the mental health ward, the jail. He killed his uncle in Philadelphia, and I think he was caught in Virginia. And I remember him getting on the phone, calling his mother, and he was crying. And he said, "Mom, they have me locked up." And in my mind, I'm going, "You just killed somebody." Yeah, but you just
Yeah.
you just don't know, what's going through someone's mind.
Yeah. Perhaps he didn't know, because schizophrenia can also cause that among many other illnesses, where they don't realize what they did because
Yeah,
they're in a different realm, like a different world in their mind, because they're
yeah.
not living in reality. One thing I do want to ask is, how did that affect your mental health? You worked there for 4 years. Did you find your health to be depleting over the years mentally?
Uh, my I worked there for a total of 11 years, but
Oh,
in that,
wow.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
in the medical part and the mental health, I was a total of about 4 years in that particular area of the jail. But yeah, it did kind of do something, but I didn't really realize it until years later after I had quit. I remember a friend of mine. I was over at his house, just chilling out, and he said, I think it was maybe 2 years after I had left the sheriff's department, and he said, "Hey man, you're kind of starting to get back to who you were before you started working there, because sometimes it seemed like you were maybe a little aggressive." And I had no idea until he said, I had no idea, you know, because you had to
Yeah.
be on edge every day, you know.
Yeah. Um, I believe it's because the environment you're surrounding yourself with that affects your energy, right?
Yeah,
That's what
it does.
happened. However, you being in the Marines, was that something that's totally different than how your mental health was working at the jail?
Um, Not really. The
Mhm.
discipline, the tools you get from being in the military and the Marines helps you deal with that more.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and so yeah, that ability to deal with stress and pressure from the military helps you in that environment, which is why so many people, that have been in the military get hired into that profession, into the law enforcement profession.
Yeah. Or correctional officers as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one more thing I want to ask you regarding the mental health award is, do you find that there's a lot of unfairness, and did you ever fall at yourself that you can't do something about it?
Well, of course, there are times when you just wish you could do more, or do something different, and
Yeah.
when you see that every day, it just kind of wears at you, and you just kind of finally decide, hey, there's nothing I can do, and I'm just going to come to work and
Yeah.
survive.
Now you're making a bigger impact with
Yeah.
your podcast and writing a book and motivationally speaking. So now you are the change.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, it's great that you mention it in that way, because that is, leaving that environment is what really has inspired me to make a positive impact and a
Yeah.
change. Instead of uh, having that feeling of not being able to do something. And so, yeah, I am on a mission to help people understand that they can change their life, that they can determine their own destination, which is my saying, my motto: determination determines destination. Because you have to determine in your mind, in your spirit, that you know you're going to live your life the way you want to live your life, so that it has a positive impact on people, and not allow things, your environment, your circumstances, to dictate how you're going to live. That you can change your circumstances and go beyond what your present life is.
Well, I definitely feel like you're in a better environment
I am.
because
I am.
you're in the same coaching program as me,
Yeah.
the same motivational speaking program.
Yeah.
I just want to head back to the mental health aspect regarding your relatives. What are the experiences you had with them?
Well, my mother has schizophrenia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and fortunately, it's always been controlled with medication. She never she was never a self-harming, person, and not even towards other people. She would just have bouts of I guess almost like confusion, you know,
Yes.
um, and you know sometimes delusional. But like I said,
Yes.
the medication helped a lot with that. As
Yes.
a child, um, you know, uh, it had some effect on my parents' marriage. As a matter of fact, it had a great effect on it, which is, you know, it contributed to the divorce, in my opinion. Um, but it didn't affect me to the point where I couldn't function. So my mother was able to uh, hold things together. Like I said, with treatment and medication, and provide a good life for me. And you know so I have a lifelong experience with it, with dealing
Wow.
with health. It's just that I've been very fortunate that it didn't hit me as hard as I've seen other people have to deal with it.
Yeah, we definitely need to bring you back because my mom is also diagnosed with schizophrenia, so that would be a great interview as
Mhm.
a interview. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Um,
Hey, I'll be happy to come back.
no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd be happy to come back and talk
Yeah.
about it more.
So I want to know, when did you get educated about mental illness? I know your mom had schizophrenia. Were you told by her physicians, or did you have to go and research on your own?
Well, my mother told me.
Oh,
You
she
know,
told you
yeah,
herself.
yeah. My
Okay.
mother told me, and my relatives told me,
Mhm.
and you know, and
So she wasn't in denial.
no, no,
Okay, that's great.
no,
The first step is acceptance.
yeah, yeah, and
So
so
to wrap it up overall, what is one sweetest moment that you may have had with a prisoner or even your mom, someone who has a mental illness? Like, what is the best moment you can think of?
with my mother is just all the moments were good because I knew that she was going through something,
Mhm.
but that she was able to still uh see her way through, with family and friends, and decent medical help. Uh, we can talk about the medical side about,
Yeah,
sometimes that's a little tricky too. But she was still able to make it. I made it through childhood fine. Like I said, I didn't have any problems. Nothing to really speak on.
that's
Nothing
great.
nothing out of the ordinary. And so that whole moment was sweet for me.
Oh,
Um, and you know, right now she's in a nursing home because she's older. And
mm,
uh, I think I told you that I had traveled to Africa at one time.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, about 10 years ago, I traveled. I went to Africa. I was there for about 6 months traveling, and when
Hmm.
I came back, my mother was really sick. Uh, the medication wasn't working too well, and so I went through about a 4-year period where I didn't work. And that's also when the economy collapsed, and so the business I had that was gone. And so I took care of her, and it took me about 4 or 5 years to get her into a nursing home. You know, where that dealt with her physical limitations, from being older, and the mental side. Uh, and so now she is in a better situation where she can be taken care of, and I can relax because that was the most stressful time that throughout my
Yes,
whole life. That in that past 5 to 10 years was the most stressful time.
I can relate to that as well. We can talk about that next time.
Okay. Yeah.
This is powerful stuff, and it was really wonderful speaking with you. So let
Yeah.
the audience know where they can find you and contact you.
You can email me at sidowsley@gmail.com or business. The business email is sid@kudujuice, KUDUJUCE.com. You can look me up on Facebook, Sid Owsley, and I'm working on my blog, so that'll be sidowsley.com.
Wow, what a surprise.
Yep. So just put in Sid Owsley, you'll find me, and let's talk.
One more thing before we go. What is kudu juice? What does it
Okay.
mean?
Kudu juice combines two words. As I mentioned, I went to Africa. And
Right.
I went through mostly Southern Africa, which that was South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Swaziland. And in that area of Africa, you have an animal called a kudu, KUDU.
Yeah.
And a kudu is like a deer on steroids. This thing's neck is humongous. And there were signs on the road, like we have deer crossing signs in the United States. Well, there they have kudu crossing signs. And if a kudu hits your car, it's done. It's done. It'll be done. A lot of people get killed when kudus hit cars because they're
Yeah.
so big. And they're not the predator powerful, but they're still powerful animals in their own right. And what I do for my business, search engine optimization, digital marketing, I help businesses basically expand their presence on the internet, get found, rank on high in Google search. And so search engine optimization, you don't necessarily see it. When I do it to your website, there's no, like when you make a graphic design change on your website, you can see the change. Search engine optimization, you don't see it in your website, but once it kicks in, you see it in your rankings in Google. So it's kind of a hidden power, which is what a kudu has. They, like I said, they don't have that lion outward power, but they're powerful in their own right. And the juice part is in digital marketing and search and optimization. When we build links for a website, which helps Google know what your site is all about, we call that link juice.
Oh, wow.
And so I just combine those two words. You have a kind of hidden, powerful juice to your website that helps you get better rankings.
That's great. You're using your creativity and your imagination. I really like it.
I'm glad you asked me what kudu juice means.
Very cool. Thank you, Sid. Thanks for
All right, Fadiva,
coming
thanks.
together.
All right.